Welcome back to the Nomad Hedge, everybody. In today's market rundown, we will be taking a look at the S&P 500 and, as usual, Bitcoin. And we're also going to take a look at some bonds here. The 10-year Treasury is showing some interesting price action. And then we're going to finish off with the US dollar. So if you haven't already, consider liking and subscribing, and let's get into the video. So let's begin by taking a look at the S&P 500 on a daily chart. We can see that we're still progressing towards this wave 5. Now, we could still have concluded wave 5 right here, but as long as we're above this 8 EMA, everything is still looking bullish in our view. So it looks as if we're starting to find some resistance here at the 1.236 fib level. So we're going to see basically if we're going to find support again at the 8 EMA and then perhaps bounce higher to this 1.618, and then we'll see what happens next with the market. So we believe that this entire rally here will correct at some point. And if we step back a little bit here, we can see that the primary degree is basically the prior highs here. So we could just have a small correction where we just retest this former high here. But worst case scenario, we could see a further drawdown here. And if we go down to the daily chart, we do have the anchored VWAP and the 233 EMA as two candidates here. And they're sort of like aligned up as well. So we can see here at some of the indicators, the MACD still remains on a buy signal, but it's looking as if it's approaching a sell signal as well. The money flow indicator has been flat, and so has the Elliott wave oscillator. So it suggests the market is still, range bound. It's very difficult to find buyers at the top here, but I think it's more important to take a look at this RSI divergence here, where you have price moving higher and the momentum is slowing down as well. So that's just an indication that the market is looking a little bit exhausted here. So we're going to see within the next couple of days if there's some catalyst or trigger that will set the stage for a correction to happen. Or we could also see an extension here of wave 5, and that could take us much higher than current levels as well. So if you take a look at the volume profile from the lows here all the way to the highs, we are actually above the POC line as well as the value area highs. So that could suggest that we could have some late stage buyers coming into this market, and that could give us that last push where we have a sub wave here that could take us higher towards wave 5 above this 1.618 extension. So let's switch over to the Russell 2000, and as we can see here, price has recently been breaking above this wave 3 here, and it looks as if we're beginning to progress towards wave 5. Now this wave 5 could potentially take us all the way up to this prior high here, and if we zoom out, I'll show you right there. So there is a chance that we could actually move much higher, and that is because we do have a failed auction at this level, and that could be the significant push here towards around $243 here for the Russell 2000. We also have some thrust behind this, which should give us a strong push towards this all-time highs, and that is we got support here at the 244 EMA, which is typically a very solid support, and that we would need to bring this thing higher so that we could probably just retest either the 21, the 34 or the 55 EMA at some point. So don't be surprised to see the Russell 2000 moving much higher here. Obviously we could make it last push here towards breaking this high perhaps, but all I'm saying is that there is a chance that the Russell 2000 could move much higher. So with that said, let's move on and take a look at the crypto markets, and we're going to start off with Bitcoin. So let's switch over to BTC, and as we can see here, Bitcoin is currently trading below this POC line, which suggests that the sellers are now in control. Now, if we were to apply some of the moving averages, we can also see that this could potentially be a correction, and we're looking for this 100% extension where wave C could be concluded. And so we're currently finding support here at the 55 EMA on a daily chart. But one thing to notice is that we do have a very strong support line here. And if Bitcoin were to break this horizontal line, that could obviously set the stage for Bitcoin to move lower. Now we can look at two potential targets here, and all we have to do is apply the Fibonacci retracements, and we do have the 233 EMA as a potential candidate, as well as the 0.618, which would also close the CME gap here at around $90,000. Now I think that's a little bit extreme in my opinion, but it remains as a possibility. So there are two ways to look at this. Either this is the conclusion of wave 5 and all we're seeing here is a correction towards wave C, And the second of all is that we could be looking at this as a potential 1 2 1 2 and 1 2 as well. So we're looking at a very, very strong bullish structure here. So we have a 1 2 1 2 and then obviously another 1 2 here. So that would be a very, very bullish outlook here for Bitcoin if that were to happen. Now that scenario is obviously possible, but we would have to break above this POC line, and that would confirm a little bit more that Elliott wave count. But for now, as we have a negative divergence right here in the RSI, it would suggest that this is actually a conclusion here of wave 5, and that all we're seeing right now is also a correction currently progressing towards wave C, or this 233 EMA. Now we have been looking at SPY, we've been looking at a Russell 2000, so we believe that there is some more confirmation showing that we are in fact in this wave 5 count and that we should see lower prices ahead. I am still bullish here, so whatever, we're finding support at some point, that's going to be a buy in our opinion. So watch this value area lows here. So if price were to actually break this, we could see this 233 EMA moving higher, and that could coincide with this value area low, which also acts as support many times. But worst case scenario, we're looking at this CME gap. Best case scenario would be to regain this POC line here. And again, if this would be a 1 2 1 2 structure, and that would be a very bullish outlook here for Bitcoin. So it's still in this wait and see mode, and obviously we'll keep you guys updated. So we're gonna take a look at Ethereum and see how the price action looks there as well. So this is going to be a little bit brief, but as we're switching over to Ethereum, we can see here that we have a 1 2 3 4 and 5. Now one thing to notice is that yes, we do have a negative divergence here, which would suggest the conclusion of wave 5. We could again be seeing this kind of impulsive structure here, where we could see an extension of wave 5. And as we talked about earlier, this prior high here has been breached, right? So we are above this prior high, and one would suggest this thing needs to go higher before we can retest it and then start a new impulse wave higher. So it still remains a very strong possibility that Ethereum could move much higher, and we haven't really seen very much price depreciation here. And as well as we're finding support right above this anchored VWAP, this white line here, that could suggest that something along the line of that could be happening. Now one thing to also notice is that this wave 3 here did not come out to be a 1.618, meaning it's not actually extended. So if this thing is not extended as it should have been, it means another wave within this structure here needs to be extended, and that could set the stage for the wave 5 here to be extended instead of wave 3. So that's pretty interesting. But we do have this negative divergence here, and so that would suggest that wave 5 will actually conclude here, and all we have to look now is for further confirmation. Again, if we take a look at some of the indicators, we do also have a negative divergence here, a sell signal here in the making. The money flow indicator has also topped here, but there's still strong buying momentum here for the Elliott wave oscillator. I'm still open to the idea that we could get an extension here of wave 5, but we would need some further confirmation, especially towards the upside. And all we have to do basically is just wait if this thing is going to be broken above or not. So one could take the chance here and try to buy right here, and then perhaps start to think about this scenario here where this thing could be extended. And so with that out of the way, we're going to take a look at the US dollar as well as the 10-year treasury yields. We're going to begin with the 10-year treasury yields. Switching over to the 10-year treasury yield, and as we can see, we're seeing a surprisingly strong upside bid here, where price has managed to break above this POC line. And all we have to do is basically take a look at this Elliott wave structure, where we could have potentially concluded an ABC correction, and that this could obviously be the end of it, and that the 10-year could be moving higher from here. And as we can see here, we're actually finding support at the value area lows, and that we're basically seeing here that the 10-year has basically been in an uptrend. And so the bulls are obviously in control here when it comes to the 10-year treasury yield. And all we're looking for now is a potential breakout here with the 10-year could be, moving higher. And as you can see here, we also have the anchored VWAP, and it's finding support here at the 0.618 deviation above this anchored VWAP. So it's also pretty interesting that we're still above that level. Switching over to a daily chart, we can see the price moving is very bullish here. Again, we got a retest here. This looks as if it wants to be an impulse here, and that we do have a failed auctions here as well towards the upside. And so that could be something that price could navigate or gravitate towards. We do have a solid buy or an early buy signal here for the MACD. We're seeing some upside momentum here for the oscillator as well, and the money flow indicator hasn't made any new lows. It's just been an upside uptrend here as well. So that's pretty interesting to see. The 10-year is actually finding strong momentum, and so watch this breakout here, because I think this is going to be important. If we just draw a line here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. So if this trend line here breaks above, we could see a very, very strong impulsive move here for the 10-year, which is why we're also going to take a look at the US dollar and see how the dollar might be faring out in the coming days ahead. Switching over to the DXY futures, and as we can see right here, we're currently finding support at the 0.618 level, and this is either going to be where we break it or we gain from here. So if the DXY begins to find an upside bid here, we could see a further upside where the 10-year treasury is also moving higher, and that could, together with the DXY moving higher, set the stage for a correction in the markets to begin. Now, we don't believe that the US dollar is going to move up for a very, very long time, because our bias is still towards the downside. And what I mean is that this cycle here that began in 2008 and where the uptrend began back in 2011 has in fact concluded. We're looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott wave count here, and we basically need to correct this thing. And so 100% extension would, suggest this thing to find support at the 94 level. However, I think there's a chance that the US dollar could actually move lower, where we actually retest this level here, which could act as a strong support. We're looking basically at this level right there. But that's for another video. We're just looking at how the dollar would react short term. And as long as we're above this POC line here, the bulls are obviously in control, and that could also set the stage for a dead cat rally to move higher. Now, why would we need a dead cat rally? Well, we've been basically in decline here for many, many months, and we would need some buyers to step in here, and eventually we could see sellers coming back into this market and break this trend. So with the 10-year treasuries moving higher, we could see the US dollar also catching a bid right here. And if the dollar is actually moving higher, again, our bias is still towards the downside. We're looking for this resistance line here, which is the 233 EMA siding with the anchored VWAP, and then we could see the correction progressing towards the downside with a break of trend here. And together, that could suggest that if both start to move towards the upside, we could see a correction in this market. And so sellers might be coming back, so we'll keep an eye here on the US dollar, as well as the S&P 500 and the rest of them. And so if you haven't already, consider liking, subscribing. You can follow me on X, and my handle is Nomad Hedge, and I'll keep you guys updated. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now.